on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz, Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check. That is Jake fucking DeMARCO. We're here to talk about the debut of Raw on Netflix. Happy New Year, everybody. What's going on, Jake?
Happy New Year, Happy New Month, and like Tommy used to say...
Happy New Day!
Happy New You.
Hey.
You Hollywood. Shout out to old school there. Oh, God damn, Spaz, it feels the same. Yep. Right? Aren't you supposed to feel different when you wake up today? It's a new year, right? It's just a new month, but...
I've got a lot more to watch on Netflix than you guys do, but we won't go there.
Yeah, you've got A Tale of Two Countries, as you said, and made me laugh so hard with that the other day. Canada gets it all, and America gets piecemealed under 4 different apps, streaming services, and platforms. Which show do you want to watch? Because it's on everything. You got to figure it out.
What did we say a lot last year? What's WWE doing right now?
Yes.
Everything.
We got Hulu, we got Max, we got, Crave, we've got everything under the sun. Those
other guys are over on Max. We don't need to talk about that.
No, but to think about everything we got this year, I mean, with Punk calling out the Chosen One, say, what's his name? That would have been a moment just for a year. Cody Rhodes finishing the story should be, that's a lot of people's top moment, and I get it.
Loved working here. I just hated the guy that ran the place, and he loved you.
Exactly.
That's line.
We've gotten so many amazing moments, and I think going back through everybody's top of the year, what got me the most emotional and what gave me the biggest chill response and goosebumps, still, every time I can watch it over and over, is the introduction for the championship match at Backlash, and the France crowd is coming unglued. They are singing, they are chanting to the point
and they're
where
singing
the arena...
that French song that was I
didn't
know this until way afterwards. It was Simply Phenomenal or something like that.
Yeah, Phenomenal, whatever. Yeah, they're going on, and they're doing the whole thing. But the camera is shaking. AJ's trying so hard not to break from this immense response.
It's one of those times where you could totally forgive him for doing so as well.
Yes, and he still didn't break. That you see it on his face. He's chewing the gum. He's biting his lip. He's trying. He wants to smile. But God, he deserved that.
It doesn't beat Sammy popping the bloodline with he's not feeling very oozy right now, and everybody's got their hands over their faces trying.
Oh, as far as breaking,
not to laugh.
No, but that has to be my moment of the year.
For sure.
Because that totally encapsulates everything about the year to me. It's hot. It's wild. It's out of control. The fans are at a fever pitch. It's raucous. And this is global. Yeah, it was in France for the first time in ages, and that shows the global effect of it and what's to come and the popularity and the surge and the wrestling renaissance that we're in, my friend. We are truly in the Netflix era now. No more 2-hour shows. They got to pull out a 3-hour deal. They need to pull out some Blue Chew because they got to last a little bit longer.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
I mean, we saw Julia make her debut in NXT. We saw Joe Hendry come through a real forbidden door with the TNA relationship. I mean, Sting's retirement, your favorite moment of the year, the debut of Mercedes Moné. I know you couldn't stop just gushing to me about how enamored you were with the big boss.
She has a job.
See,
hey. And it didn't happen in TNA, but in the last week or so, we finally have a WWE contracted talent holding another company's title.
I don't mean to wax poetic here. I know. That's
with
the
Omos?
thing. All of it. Just all of the rascals got back together, and then they broke our hearts, Spaz.
And then Rosemary got pay-per-view time in WWE.
Jordan Grace was in the Rumble as the TNA Knockout Champion with the belt, not just, we got Jade Cargill.
Andre Chase University was represented in an Ultimate X match.
Yeah, we got Jacob Fatu's debut was this year, too. I mean, holy shit, talk about a guy that you want to see him have a fight with fucking everyone. Yep. And yes, we're in a dream match scenario with a lot of people I can't wait to see Jacob and Kevin Owens, Jacob and, like you just go down that, Jacob and Punk, like the whole list of people you want to see, right? And I mean, there's dozens.
And I'll tell you what they achieved, right?
What's that?
I'll tell you what they, because you and I did, and it's, I'm going to be cheap plugging ourselves here. Over on your channel, we did best and worst moments of 2024. Over on Jake's stream, we did our Make-A-Wishes for 2025, apropos John Cena coming back.
And retiring.
But everybody kind of starts putting those lists together as soon as Survivor Series is over. Like, okay, Survivor Series is over, let's start thinking about the year. Two segments in the middle of December went out of their way to sort of say, no, December's not a dead month anymore. We talked about one already. And that
because they always phoned it in December. December was typically the big lull period. They closed down shop for the holidays. They had
and
the
thing
sloppy
about that that's
booking.
Funny,
and let's get to the Rumble build. Yeah.
The thing about that that's funny is they actually are shutting down shop for the holidays, giving everybody the time off they need, and it doesn't feel like that.
No, and they're
when it felt like that before, they were working every day.
I know they were working the real old school 6-day-a-week schedule. And now they're there, at a reasonable amount of time. But Drew,
I will say,
losing the title. I mean, there's so many things, and that's what I love about it, Spaz. I'm so excited.
The opening the opening segment of WrestleMania Night 2. Rollins loses to Drew. Drew gets beat up by Punk. Drew gets cashed in on Damian Priest because of Punk. Everybody wins. Everybody moves up. But I will say, as an arrow through the heart, seeing as we're talking a lot about arrows this week, I will say 2 arrows through the heart of the idea that December is the dead month in WWE.
Yeah.
First of all, we had the breakup of the New Day. You and I have already talked that to death. That was fantastic. And
incredible. And look at the heat they're getting. That Madison Square Garden show, you could not hear their music.
Absolutely.
Which
is good because they better get new music.
Danny and I had tickets to go to the day after Christmas MSG show.
Oh, yeah.
And I wasn't able to go, but my buddy there did going on his own, funny enough, and he had a great time, and I was like, oh, awesome. So Cody got there, and he sent me, Punk in a towel and all the updates and shit.
Nice.
And, but when I ever saw like his fan cam video, not professional, because then you could hear the audience better.
Yeah,
you could not hear the New Day at all. And I mean,
I would
were
almost
beloved a week ago.
Here's the thing, right?
It was such a jarring thing.
It's the NXT fan in me coming out, and it would be a repeated idea. I would love them to come out to no music, a la Ciampa back in the day.
Yes, that's a true heel. Because the New Day theme is supposed to get people going, excited. Don't you dare be sour.
And I get how that works, too, because it's a counter thing. It's like, why are clowns so scary? Because something that happy is never really that happy. I get that mentality, too, using the happy music for an asshole. Yeah. And that's probably what they're going to do, and then they'll twist it and turn it or whatever. But I think them coming out to no music, getting those boos from the crowd, and letting that be the music, like super, super heel Ciampa did at takeovers in NXT. But the other thing...
What was the other big thing?
Threatened to steal segment of the year, literally on the last Raw on television, was
the last
Raw on the
USA Network.
We're going to talk about the match later, but the promo with Punk and Rollins... They just said, go out there and be Punk and Rollins. Like, there was no instruction for that promo.
And we'll talk about this later. Obviously, we're going to preview Netflix. We're getting there. I mean, Sami Zayn ended Gunther's world-breaking IC championship reign.
Which is why everybody thinks he's going to repeat and do it with the world title at some point.
It could happen, But here's the thing. I mean, seeing Sammy's wife crying as he wins the belt and the brain buster, that should have maybe have been all we got at Mania. I mean, if you look back to some of the other Manias, we got the stunner on, that's great. A-Town down, flew up 500 feet, and Kevin Owens and Austin had a great match. But there wasn't like a real lot.
Austin Theory beat John Cena, and it didn't mean anything.
So for years we had these manias where
and you know what the great thing about it is, and you and I have talked about the spider web booking and the fluidity of how everything works and how everybody's a star that raises everybody else, right? Now you mentioned he could come back around again and win another title off Gunther, except this time it'll be the world title, which would be fantastic. Think about how big that is. Now, think about
storytelling at its finest.
Of course, but think about how cool it is that I have a separate idea that I also want to see that could equally happen, which is he goes over to SmackDown and takes the belt off of Kevin Owens off of Kevin Owens after Kevin Owens takes it off Cody Rhodes.
I would like to see Cody lose at the Rumble.
We're allowed to think like, oh, it's a ladder. We're gonna be okay. We're not previewing the Royal Rumble a month in advance.
I know we're not yet, but I don't see Cody having the title at Mania this year. No. I think they're going to do something without it, either with The Rock or with there's a better story. I think we put him in something that doesn't need a title. Whatever I said it to you before. Whatever Rock, Roman, and Cody are doing doesn't need a title. Give me Finn Balor versus CM Punk for one title. Give me Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn for the other title. I'm just saying, last year really restored my faith in wrestling. Obviously, we're in that wrestling renaissance, and you made a great point, and this is again why I love working with you, buddy. Because you mentioned the storyline throughput, the spider web, and it all connects. I said before about Jacob Fatu and all these dream matches, right? Mm-hmm. But every match has a story. He either did something with the bloodline, or I could make a logical, booking feud out of whoever I wanted, and there would be a way to get there without jumping through hoops right now, because they have people not only being themselves. Cody isn't just a good guy that goes out there and gets his ass whipped, 1-on-7 because he's going to stand up to the man. No, he's going to use that chair because you introduced it into the match, and guess what? That's your damn fault.
But you know what it is, though? And you've used this example before, and I like it because he's not a stupid babyface, right? But at the same time, because they haven't booked him like a stupid babyface and they've given him that credit in the bank, if he does on one single night, in one single moment, have a lapse, and he does walk into that 7-on-1 fight and he does come out somehow on top, it'll work because he's got credibility, and because we know he's not going to do it again the next night and the next night and the next night, and it's not
he's not running out there to fight and keeping his hands in his pocket either, Spaz. That's the point here. It's very, very hard to make people like you, and so easy to make them hate
that
you.
Orange Cassidy stuff with the hands in the pockets is way harder than we give it credit for. It lends to your credibility conversation, but I don't ever want anybody to come in here and think, because they're trying to get me with a gotcha that,
Oh, no, he's a hell of an athlete.
He's a hell of an athlete, and doing what he does, even though it's silly, it's probably hard as hell. It's like all the times that Darby Allin has, won matches with handcuffs behind his back. Does it make sense? No, but do I give him credit for it? Hell yeah. The problem is not the wrestlers, the problem is the company, but that's another conversation for another day. But what I will say is, just coming to the end of 2024 in December, everybody's already made their lists, everybody's always made their top 10s, their top 5s, their top 3s in our case, and then WWE comes out with 2 more, and it's like, you should have waited until January 1st to make those lists. Punk and Rollins, the New Day stuff was your late pre-Christmas present. I don't know how else to say it other than that, because it's, even while stuff was happening and everybody was saying, oh my God, we're actually getting stuff that makes sense during Christmas time, and then they keep giving it to you, and it's like, oh my God, we got something that makes sense. It's like, okay, now you need to start not being surprised.
Yes.
Jordan Grace shows up in the Rumble one time, hey, it's a cool surprise. By the time we get back around to it again, you get back to, oh wow, they're doing it again, it's not a surprise anymore.
Exactly. So you don't always need a surprise either. The Rumble does.
It needs to be a surprise once. It doesn't need to be a surprise every time. You don't need to have a brand new member to your roster every week or month and
exactly. And one of the things that I want to bring up too is, like, they're advancing in many ways in the wrestling company. Their mindset has shifted drastically, and how they look at content and how they look at social media. They are now doing what I've wanted for ages, where you have the kayfabe side on the front, and then you have the, hey, it's an act in the back, let's have fun with everybody and show you behind the scenes.
You know the thing is, Stuart, and I won't lie, I've never logged on to X to watch an episode of Speed, right? But it shows how vast their, I don't know what you want to say, like their scope, their
reach.
We're gonna find people wherever they are.
They're offering something for everybody. You like quick, fast-paced, 3-minute explosive matches. Here you go.
There's two entire title belts. I can speak, I swear, that are dedicated to people who are finding them somewhere other than TV now. Exactly. They have. I think that's kind of awesome. Not necessarily for me.
No, but it's a streaming service. It's cool in itself with X and Twitter and
when you load up your phone, X and Twitter might be, X and Netflix might be icons that are next to each other on your phone. I click over here to watch an episode of Speed. I click over here to watch an episode of Monday Night Raw. Or if you're in Canada, NXT and SmackDown and all the pay-per-views.
And it fits with the quick fitting motif that is Twitter X still. I'm going to call it Twitter, but it's like they go ahead.
And the fact that nobody has an attention span anymore.
Well, that too. So people are scrolling by at something quick, and one of the things that I wanted for a long time, which we didn't really get, was not just road stories and podcasts, but you have these
I'm sorry,
great...
I gotta pause you. You'll love this. I've just got rolling ads on my Netflix screen right now, and I just got a Netflix ad for WrestleMania.
See? and that's what I'm saying. That's great. That's gigantic for them. I mean, I could not...
They might get as many people as Mike Tyson and Jake Paul.
That's what I'm saying. You told me 2 years ago that, hey, these guys are going to be on Netflix. And I was, for them to fully leave cable and not be on a TV network, I don't know, especially with Vince's booking philosophy. So you can see how Triple H really shifted things. And like you said, they're out there doing something for everybody. So now we have the WWE Vault channel. And they're showing classics, old matches. The other day on Christmas, or New Year's Eve, they had the best of the Undertaker matches. I ended up watching it for like 4 hours in the background while doing stuff around the house because it just was on. It caught me, and I usually don't go back and watch old stuff. And I was like, and that's what got me nostalgic. And I just got into this let's consume favorite memory moment, and I went back. Well,
I told you
my
little brother who I was telling about the Netflix thing. He's just like, oh, let me know when it happens and whatever. So I let him know, and I said, oh, come, the libraries are up now. He's like, cool. I'm watching the first episode of Raw. They're really mean to Yokozuna. Yep.
They're just fat shaming him, huh? I love corny stories.
Oh
about
my
him
god!
too.
If people are watching old episodes of Raw now, how triggered are they?
There's so many great, quick things, but Corny would call him, and he'd be at the weight loss thing that they sent him to because he was getting too big to wrestle. So he's like, yo, how you doing? He's like, brother, I'm so good. I lost 200 pounds. I feel great. And then he gets there, and he weighs 700 now.
How'd you lose 200 pounds? I cut off my leg.
Yeah, essentially. But he just got bigger and bigger.
But you've got that, and you've got, like I said, you and I are not necessarily archive guys, but you've got
but now they're taking
that, yeah.
Orton and CM Punk, when Punk first came back, and you knew they had bad blood previously and all that, and they're like, oh, we squashed the beef, and we're talking about our matches and old feuds and real stuff and storyline stuff. And then we got the
watch-along that him and Randy Orton did that's what I'm referring to.
Yeah, for Survivor Series and stuff. And then we had Big E now today. I haven't checked it out on Netflix yet. I want to afterwards. He has a Raw Classic show coming out.
Well, the thing with Punk and Randy Orton and that match at WrestleMania, it's sort of Survivor Series.
Sorry, I don't know why I said
Survivor
Series. Yeah,
it's the last
came
one
back in
passed.
Survivor Series. Yeah,
but no, what it did, and I'm glad they brought it back up to do that watch along segment with. But what it did for me at the time for WrestleMania is it helped me sort of put into words something that I hadn't really thought of before. And there's matches at WrestleMania, obviously there's going to be big stipulation matches, there's big, high-profile celebrity matches, there's title matches. And what you need to have on WrestleMania is the match for match's sake. And that's where I use CM Punk and Randy Orton as the example, because there was no title involved in that match. It wasn't some big stepped-up match. It wasn't a main event. It was just two guys having a match. And from that year, which is, God, how many years ago was that now? But from then on, I always had that example to use. It's okay, we've got title matches, we've got marquee stuff, we've got celebrity involvement, we've got titles and pomp and circumstance and all that. Where's my match for match's sake? And Randy Orton and CM Punk was the perfect example of that. And so when they went back and looked at that match, I was like, holy fuck, I'm old, first of all, but second of all, that was a formative moment in how I watch wrestling. It's do things for reasons, but also do things for no reason, because something for no reason does have that little bit of sports element that we usually don't give a shit about because it's a show. But
they found a way to make themselves truly be superstars again, where there was a great time in wrestling where we had the larger-than-life characters, and then we had John Cena, and everybody else started to kind of fall to the wayside. No one was really getting to his level. And then it happened with Punk, and then we kind of, had a break for a little bit, and then we got Bryan and Shield. And then from there, things started to change a bit, and we've had some changes. But if you look at the way things are being handled now, and like I said, it's such a different mindset and a different approach to every standard that they had, really, because, Drew McIntyre, look at the year that he had, right? Superstar of the year on so many lists, rightfully deserved. He probably would be my favorite of the year. As much as Punk was great, Drew made Punk great. You know what I mean? Punk needed that man to really reinstate his dominance in WWE, and they gave each other all they had to put each other over.
And I will say, on the other side, on SmackDown, that's Cody and KO.
Yeah, and they've been killing it, and
especially for people that are, and I understand it. Like, I'm still into the bloodline stuff, but I know a lot of other people are kind of getting, like, they're getting wary on it. So if you need something that's not bloodline, here's Cody and KO, and it's still based on bloodline stuff, but it's something else, and it's really good. And we got Rumble coming up.
But look at how he approaches and how they all approach, especially even Drew bringing him back up. You know, they all approach social media. Kevin Owens cutting an attack on Cody, not on television. By fans filming it. That was one of the most genius takes of the year for them to execute, because it was perfect. The fans felt involved. They felt like they were the reporters. They were the ones, showcasing, oh my God, poor Cody's been destroyed by Owens for simply, there are so many different, and they're not just using Twitter. Before they were using Twitter. Now they're using Twitter. You know what I mean? Like they're
well, there's less censorship on Twitter now, so
that too as well, no doubt. But I'm saying, like, the characters aren't just on Raw and SmackDown anymore. They're coming alive. You're seeing
they're three-dimensional.
Yes, and you're seeing their personality come through the internet, through social media, through these things, Instagram, the posts, the jokes they share, whatever it might be. Drew's character, half of it was the social media side of things, because he was such a bastard and so evil and so nefarious.
And they had to get around the fact that Punk couldn't do anything physically.
And they made it work.
Exactly.
Punk was gone for two spans in AEW, and not to show comparison, but that's where he was most recently. And when that happened, he fell off the face of the earth. I mean, there was no mention of him, and I know Brawl Out happened, there was bad blood, but still, he was your top guy.
A lot of that
was your
other
champion.
people. A lot of that was other people were nervous because they knew what Punk could do. Let's be real for a second.
But what I'm saying is, realistically, they never made mention of him once. Yet Punk was injured here, and we never not had him on our minds.
And they found other stuff for him to do. Like,
they made him.
He popped in eventually, or every now and then, to do stuff with Drew. Like, they would have another confrontation or a promo off from a distance or whatever,
costing him the title, like that. Yeah.
But separate from that, they showed, like, outside of that one storyline, they showed that we see value in CM Punk. They had him doing the pre-shows with Big E and Jackie Redmond and all that.
And we saw him do that. We saw him do commentary. We saw him go to NXT a bunch of times. We saw him backstage with things. We saw him at the Performance Center. He wasn't
they
just
sent him out
there
there
to make
hand
money.
out title belts to like other sports teams that won.
Exactly.
And like do the outreach stuff.
He's no longer just the I'm here to make money guy, even though, he is flying the company banner as hard as it could be. And for him to do so,
and because the banner says WWE on it, people are upset about it. just saying.
I'm dying to know about your take on, like, what are you most excited for with Netflix? What's got you? Is there anything in particular? Like, I love a new set. I love a new theme song. Travis Scott is going to be there live to perform it.
I didn't put that in my notes. I forgot about that.
Right? Hey, that's why we work together, buddy. We've got all these big things, but Pat McAfee and Michael Cole are back together.
See, that's the thing. There's some things that have already been revealed that would typically be revealed on a what's the word I'm looking for? Pilot episode, right?
Yes.
Like when we went into NXT in Chicago, and we didn't know what anything was going to look like. We didn't know what the arena was going to look like. We didn't know about the new logo at that time.
Yeah.
We didn't know that obviously there were new titles coming and whatnot. But, like, we've already got people with their titles and whatnot that have been updated relatively recently. We already know what the new logo looks like because it was all over the marketing and all that kind of thing. We already know that Pat McAfee is coming back. When he showed up at whatever the last time he showed up on a pay-per-view, he said, I can't wait to be back here on Netflix. We know it's going to be Michael Cole and him helming the ship and all that sort of thing. So all the stuff that we would typically be speculating about, we've already been told. So now the question is, what are we not thinking about? So I can't put my finger on what the next change is going to be, what the next thing to speculate on is, because I don't really know. And that's even better.
And you know what? I was really... I wanted to ask you because I put you on the spot, but I wasn't sure. I'm like, do you have anything? But that's what I love about it.
My only concern, we've talked a lot about production and whatnot,
Yeah.
And a lot of people...
There's a lot of issues with leaf fitting that we haven't discussed either, I guess, too.
A lot of... I haven't fully even looked into that. I'm not going to lie.
You want the 10-second run of it?
Sure.
He would go ahead and, I guess, be a little chauvinistic at times. Like, he told a female coworker when there was no seat, she could sit on his lap. He would call some women cute and things like that. So they considered it slightly they considered it predatory, I would say, not even slightly, but he was the boss. But the real issue was that he went ahead, and you can't have your employees win multiple awards for Emmys, and especially for like the sports Emmys and stuff. So he would nominate, let's say I was going to do Jake DeMarco, so I'd do Joe DeMACO as the nominee. Yeah. And then when the award arrives, you change the name to actually Jake DeMarco, so now I can win multiple Emmys for my team. Nice. That's what he did.
Okay, I don't care in the slightest.
Exactly, it's a non-issue to me for both things. I'm sorry, Vince McMahon was there. He was shitting on females' heads. If somebody's calling you cute, get over it. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. That goes for everybody, and it is one of those things where if it was happening the other way around, everybody would laugh.
He sounds more like a nerd that was trying to be like inclusive, and people look to find things to be upset with.
Of course, yeah. It's like,
None of this feels like he was a predator, truly encroaching on women. I feel like he made a stupid joke a few times or said something out of character, like in the sense of being like playful, but it was now being able under a 2025 lens. I got that right.
It's one of those if you're looking to somebody,
for it, you'll find it.
If you're but if you're anybody, it's the old tax joke. You know, if you really want to, you can audit a ham sandwich. Yep. You can find something that anybody has said and twist it and make it into whatever. From a production point of view, I know they want to seem really big going to Netflix, worldwide audience and all that kind of thing. There's a couple of things in the production. We heaped a lot of praise on the production in our year-end podcast. There's a few things, and they don't matter, except like if they got rid of them, it'd be great. I don't need the LED ring posts. I don't need the LED apron. Let's like some of that scale back. Like there's a couple of things that they could do in that regard where it's like you could do more by doing less. And I feel like they might get the urge to like do even more, and it'll like from a production from a production point of view, because they've hit so many home runs recently, they could come off a bit try hard in the production end of it. Will I care at the end of the day? No. Would I like to see it scaled back a little bit? Yeah.
Like, I like the creative idea behind the Pitch Black match, and it was just a tie-in for a Mountain Dew, sponsorship deal. But it tried to be creative a little bit, but I don't want to see more of that. You know what I mean? Like,
but this is my point, though. Like, we're talking about what a show is going to look like week to week. If you want to do the Pitch Black match and make it that one weird match that goes like 110 miles an hour in the super weird direction, no problem with that.
No, I meant like week to week. I don't want to see like more lights
and
more glow in the dark shit.
Yeah, no.
More. I want less. I'm with you. I want less distractions.
I would like my apron to be an apron. I would like my ring post to be a ring post.
If they had a Tron in the stage, like when Raw's War was like 99,
where it was just a screen and it had the big metal arch frame and all that kind of thing.
Loved that. I remember when they added the banners. I was at the very first show where
and it was just added big the banners pieces of actual stage.
Yeah, and it was huge with the banners, and they went ahead and they had that night is when they lost the WWF name. So anybody in the crowd that had a WWF shirt or anything,
faded out and everything.
Yeah, they were giving people WWE shirts to replace them.
Nice.
And everybody in the audience, because I had a WWF logo shirt on, so they gave me a shirt that said "Get the F out."
Nice.
I didn't tell them I bought the APA shirt that night. Whatever, take this ass whooping personally, or the Jericho one. Yeah. Shut the hell up.
What was the worst APA shirt ever? Was like always pounding ass.
Yeah, one of those. It was. I had that.
That
too.
one didn't get thought out very well at all.
I got in trouble for school with that one, and would you please shut the hell up for Jericho? They made me turn that one inside out.
Nice.
And then I told the principal, suck it, but I didn't say it. I just did the chop.
Do you remember when they did the kids show, the Saturday Morning Slam?
Yes.
And they had the kid turn his motorbike shirt inside out because it says, "I'm going to kick some grass."
Yeah.
I'm like,
they
Jesus
wouldn't even allow
Christ,
that.
But no, like
wrestling being,
that's what they want. What I want to see them do. Like, I'm curious about stuff, but honestly, if they scale it back a little bit, I would love. I know it won't happen at. I don't know what the Intuit Dome looks like on the inside. I would love them to have no stage.
I would love them to
have no stage.
Is one of the most futuristic stadiums. I know it's brand new, obviously, but
it looks like a bubble from the outside.
Yeah, so I was watching Cody Rhodes on the Two Bears podcast. I used to listen to Two Bears, One Cave often because I used to really like Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura, and the comedians. And Bert is close with Cody because they did the Go Big show together.
Okay, all right.
TBS. So Bert, and they brought up Tony Schiavone calling him, the wrong name, like Bert Kreischer or whatever, Kreischer, the wrong name. It was funny, but they talked about the Intuit Dome. You don't buy tickets. When you walk in, it scans your face, and when you pay, it uses your eyes.
What?
You set up payments beforehand when you register, and then there's no cash tender in the building. You pay with your eyes. It scans your face to pay.
Okay, not sure how I feel about that.
Right? But you have to...
Like, it sounds cool, but...
Right? Like, holy hell, talk about Big Brother's watching you. But, yeah, no, they have this at a few places, like
have
MSG
you seen the movie
and
Trap?
a few others.
Have you seen the movie Trap?
So I didn't watch all of it. I saw most of it.
That's what
I
makes me think
I like M. Night Shyamalan, and even in his goofiest settings, I still enjoy it in like some type of sadistic way. Another movie that I'm like 20 minutes away from finishing is Terrifier 3. Probably one of the goriest movies.
Want to know the hysterical thing? I've told you this off air. My oldest nephew is really into horror movies and whatever, and blah, blah, blah. We don't need to get into that, watching all kinds of stuff with Uncle Spaz that you shouldn't be watching. But I haven't seen the Terrifier movies, and he actually is trying to convince me to watch the Terrifier. It's just not a series I've gotten around to yet.
You will enjoy it, especially because you see the progression that Damien Leone made, because the first movie was made for, like, chiclets. Okay. And he did all of the effects himself. And that has, like, one of the most notorious murder-kill scenes probably in cinema for the past, He had, like, a very notorious, like, insane murder scene in that movie. And that's what went viral. So then he got a campaign to do the second one on GoFundMe or Indiegogo, whatever. And he made, like, he wanted to get, like, $100,000. He got, like, $2 million, something like that. Yeah. And he made
then the third one did huge numbers in the theater, apparently.
Yeah, the third one was, on a no longer shoestring budget. So and people really started to not so much sympathize, but like really enjoy Art the Clown as a serial killer character.
The funny thing about that, though, is those movies that are made on no budget, once they get successful and they actually get a budget, it loses the shoestring mentality, like the shoestring elements of it. So
thankfully, because he was the one that always did his own effects and they always looked so good, that the continuity of the grossness of the gore stays consistent and only ramps up. They actually ran out of cosmetic blood during one of the scenes in the third one, and they had to order more because they ran out. So I love hearing things like that, but you see it progress, and that's what we're seeing in wrestling. Like we're seeing it build and just get better and better. It builds upon itself. You start off with a story. They don't want Art to be likable. They don't want him to be this they want him to be iconic, but they don't want people to be like, oh, he's such a kooky character. No, so they made him an evil, sadistic bastard in the third one to kind of go back to its roots and really make people hate him.
The reason I brought up Trap, though, is, and it was just going back to the Intuit Dome thing, like, if you watch Trap, like, you think, oh my god, it takes place at a concert. For anybody that's listening that doesn't know, it's basically like, this guy's a killer. We know he's a killer at the beginning of the movie. There's no surprise that way. But he's taking his daughter to this concert, which is actually in the Sky Dome in Toronto.
Yes, was filmed in Canada.
And the whole idea is everybody knows that he's a killer. Everybody knows he bought a ticket to this concert, so they're using the concert as a trap to trap him. So even though it's filmed in the fucking Sky Dome, it still feels really claustrophobic. If I have to go to a wrestling show and they're going to scan my face when I walk into the building, no.
Right?
Fuck no.
Isn't it like a bit...
That's a little uncanny valley, whatever you want to call it.
Kind of I mean, it is unsettling. I don't know how... Because, like, especially paying with your eyes and do it. It's so futuristic that I don't know. But it's getting to the point where that's how everything is going to be eventually. So it's like you're going to have to.
It's like having a Roomba. I'm like, it's cool that somebody invented that. I would still like the option to not participate.
Yeah, I still like to vacuum without tripping over a thing in the hallway.
I go to Scotiabank all the time, and they've got signs up that say like no cash purchases and whatever. But it's bullshit. You give them money, they give you your T-shirt.
Yeah, see, no, when we went to Suicide Boys concert in Boston, I think it was, one of them, they were like, yep, no cash, it's, and And it was like since COVID, they've not allowed people to use any tenure that's not plastic. But I'm like, even if I'm swiping or I'm handing you my card, either which way, like you're still touching something. So whatever.
Yeah, it's whatever the reason is. It's not the actual reason.
Yeah, it's never, they want the credit card processing fees
We
or
make
whatever.
cigarettes very expensive because we don't want you to smoke. Well, if you didn't want me to smoke, you wouldn't sell me cigarettes.
Selling cigarettes, exactly.
It's one. I don't smoke. It's just the example I could pull off the top of my head.
I think one of the biggest things, and I don't like the cigarette company, they're doing things in WWE to make people more safe, and we've seen that week to week. Like, they'll never let a wrestler again go ahead and wrestle like Cody did with his pec. Like that was, he lied through his teeth to get himself into that scenario, and they weren't happy. They thought he was, the doctor report was better than what it was. They had all different prognoses. Like, he just lied and lied to get that main event. And with Rollins, and it shows the tenacity that he had, and that's what really endeared him to the fans. And like I was saying before, it's hard to get people to like you. It's easy to hate you. And that's really been the true John Cena story for years now. And we got an announcement last year, probably halfway throughout the year, that Cena would be retiring in 2025. But he's not, going to end it at Mania. He's not going to end it at the Rumble or he's going the whole year through, and he's going to hit them all. He's going to be at every big show. He's going to be involved in things. He's going to be wrestling on Raws and SmackDowns and maybe even NXT. We're going to see Cena. What do you hope we get from Cena in his final year?
Okay. Wow, I'm sorry. I was just looking at the clock there, and it's like we will talk some bullshit, and it's awesome. And I was like, we actually have a show to talk about, and I was trying to stop myself, and we get on a roll. We haven't done this since last year.
Exactly, it's been so long.
Anyways, fucking January 1st, we're already talking about wrestling. It's fantastic, and it is actually the first thing I've got on my list as well. I don't even think I sent you a list.
No, but hey, I knew that would be on the top for you.
Kicking off the John Cena retirement tour, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a simple, hey guys, we're on our way, revving up the crowd, hyping up the company, hyping up the Netflix deal, being the other company guy. Somebody will interrupt him. We'll find out we'll either find out what his match at Rumble is going to be, or we'll have an impromptu match that night to add to the show. I'm thinking it'll be, you know what it might be actually?
I'm thinking build. I'm thinking not a match, but a build. Someone's going to interrupt him. They're going to come and they're going to fuck his day up, and that's what it's going to be for. So
yeah, I'm thinking like somebody I want to see him face like in a prominent spot at some point. I think I mentioned it last time you guys were on, you and I were on pod together. Is Carmelo Hayes, right? So I want to leave that for later on. But if they do want to do something, it's like, oh my God, with all the other stuff we have going on tonight, we're gonna get John Cena in action on Netflix for the first time ever. I think you get an interrupt because we know there are going to be people from both Raw and SmackDown on this show. Like the brand split be damned for the night. I would kind of love it if he was interrupted by Austin Theory.
Yeah,
like, I beat you at WrestleMania, and it didn't do anything for me. How dare you? Blah 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 blah. And then he gets an F5. He gets squashed in 5 seconds. It's Austin Theory. It's fine. Yeah. I would really love that actually. I wouldn't
hate that either.
I don't know who I want him to.
Eventually, I want to see him in Punk. That would be a great thing to have at Money in the Bank, just because. I mean, just for the history of it, but
just for the sake of, oh my God, it's the biggest show in company history. They're gonna both be on the show anyway. If John Cena gets cut off by The Rock, you don't need it to turn into a match or anything like that. But have them bantering back and forth. Oh, who can be most thanked in the history of WWE for the great place we're in now? Da 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 da. Very, very different version of a promo off that we got last week. Like to go from Punk and Rollins one week to Rock and Cena the next. I don't think we have a super combustible thing here. People are speculating that he's going to be facing Gunther either at the Rumble or at Mania. I don't think we start that just yet.
I don't think so either. I think it's going to be, like you said, an Austin Theory, a la Mojo Rawley, like whoever they would have had in that role. Austin Theory fits really well.
I've got it. Ooh. I've got it. What's a group on Monday Night Raw that's having a lot of problems right now?
Judgment Day.
Yeah. What if the lowest pissant on the totem pole of the Judgment Day says, I'm going to get us back on the winning path, and we get John Cena versus Dominic Mysterio.
Right.
Okay, I'm laughing, but honestly, that would be a lot of fun.
That would be a ton
Dominic
of fun.
Mysterio's getting sneakily good.
He's just getting so much better. We're watching him grow in front of our eyes, and I mean, as much as we hear that before, like, it really is true. He debuted on the COVID Raws in front of no one.
Yep.
We saw him get the shit kicked out of him with kendo sticks, and I mean, Rollins beat the shit out of that boy with those kendo sticks.
Yeah, I mean, Rollins, we have this conversation a lot. We have it with somebody like a Finn Balor, somebody like a Dolph Ziggler. He is one of those people that's just like, if you want somebody new to get like sort of broken into the business the right way, here's somebody we're going to put you with so that when the crowd sees you, they can see you in a decent light. I mean, holy shit. TNA Hard to Kill is on Sportsnet 360 in Canada right now. Sorry, my TV's doing funny things.
Your TV's just giving you all the best bits. You got Netflix ads for Mania. Everything's synced together.
Everything is super vibrant. It's friggin' ridiculous. I don't have ADD, I promise.
Yeah, but you know what? You're not wrong, and that's the thing. I think it's going to be something very simple, something aloof, something, nothing big deal in the sense of the initial, but John's going to come out, rah, pump up the crowd. I think he's opening the show. So, the opening will be the Travis Scott debut, but I think John's going to be the first thing after that.
See, I
feel like they're going to come, because of how the matches are, and especially we know the main event with Punk and Rollins, they're going to steer clear of that.
Yep.
So unless they do it at like the 9 or 10 o'clock hour, like Cena's coming, I really feel like he's going to be
They still have not made an announcement about the official length of Raw, have they? They've danced around it. They've given us the SmackDown announcement, which is going to be something to talk about at another time. But they've danced around it so much. They've never said we're staying at 2. They've never said we're going to 3, whatever. But here's what I'm saying. Like, obviously,
SmackDown will be 3 hours because it's still on the USA Network. So
that's
a set time for a
3-hour
block.
Here's the thing. I don't know where I'm watching SmackDown this Friday. Because the Sportsnet 360 deal is done, and we don't pick up on Netflix until the 10th.
Ooh.
So the rumor is that WWE is just going to throw the live stream out there on YouTube for markets not in the U.S.
Okay.
But I haven't seen any official announcement.
No,
so
I haven't.
So I don't know. Now. I don't know where I'm watching SmackDown on Friday, and for it to be the 3-hour debut, I don't think the John Cena thing's going to open the show. If Travis is doing the intro live for the first time ever and that opens the show, I'm not going to count that as the opener of the show. I think if we're ending it with Punk and Rollins, I think we're starting it with the Tribal Combat.
Yeah, it says SmackDown moves to 3 hours in January while SmackDown leaves normal networks. The show will air on Netflix on January 10th. It doesn't say anything about here we go. The January 3rd episode of SmackDown will be streamed on WWE's YouTube channel, like you said.
Oh.
This is on WWE.com.
Oh, wow, all right.
WWE's deal with Netflix starts from January 6, 2025. So Raw's episode,
yeah.
which sees Raw also airing on streaming services in the U.S. So the move to a 3-hour SmackDown mirrors their previous approach with Raw, but Raw's transitioned to a 3-hour format in 2012, but has no confirmed time structure in 2025. So I'm guessing Raw will mimic SmackDown, but I think, like you said, they're keeping it intentionally vague because they want to go ahead and be like, hey, here's the deal.
They want to have that flexibility.
Yeah. This week we're going 2.5. Next week we're going 3. And what does it matter? Because it doesn't matter what comes up before, after. It's not like, oh, now I have nothing to watch. Like, it's Netflix. You can tune into anything.
This is the thing, is like with the freedom of being on Netflix,
you don't have to worry about
you don't have to worry about anything. I'm going to be watching NXT and SmackDown on Netflix as well, but they will still be under the restraints of CW and USA because you guys are simulcasting to those networks in the States.
Exactly.
So the fluidity of all of this is going to be ridiculous. I want to know. See, and we were talking about the production of it, like from the show point of view, like what WWE gives them.
Yeah.
But as far as how like they present it to Netflix is one thing. How Netflix presents it to us is still going to be another thing. We don't know how ads are going to work. We don't know about anything yet. But I do think we start with the Tribal Combat in the beginning to keep the two biggest sort of matches as far away from each other as possible.
Yeah.
I could be totally wrong with that. They could do both of the main events kind of back to back, but I would
I mean, we could see. I mean, but at least you can watch it on YouTube for this upcoming Friday for SmackDown.
I'm getting back to the Netflix Raw.
No, I know. I'm saying, but as far as Raw goes,
oh, yeah.
I think it's going to be kind of an everything. I think they're going to try and test a lot of things. So I don't know where placement's going to be. I think we're going to see SmackDown stick more to the common what we're used to, and I think Raw is going to be the testing grounds.
Of course.
So
I just think if you've already told people that Punk and Rollins is going to be the main event, you want something at the start that says you need to have your ass in the seat at 8 o'clock or whenever it starts in your area.
Yeah.
It's why they do, when they go on X and they have either Adam Pearce or the fuck's his name, Nigel McGuinness, saying, tune in for Raw tonight. We're opening up the show hot with CM Punk on a microphone. You don't want to miss it. Tribal Combat. And honestly, I know it doesn't really matter for what night, but it is the only thing on the card that's technically not a Raw spectacle. So I could I could see them wanting to get it out of the way, kind of.
In a way, but it could be something that opens the show because I mean that's such a big match. Any other fucking episode, Raw and SmackDown, whatever you want to call it, this would be the main event. Like that's what's so shocking about. Pretty much everything we have on here is a main event on Raw, SmackDown, or even a major pay-per-view. So this is just like I am so excited for this.
Okay, actually, you gave me an excellent point, and I'm going to use this to segue into the next match because there is some controversy around the Women's Intercontinental Final because there's rumors kicking around that this match may be pushed off the debut episode to a later episode of Monday Night Raw so that it can be the main event.
So, from what I've heard right now, it's not on Raw's listing anymore. So, what I have listed for Raw currently is Roman and Solo in a trial combat. I have Liv and Rhea in a last woman standing match. I've got Punk and Rollins. I've got Drew and Jay. I've got Travis Scott, and I've got John Cena.
All right.
So then afterwards, they also have a live post show on the WWE YouTube page hosted by Joe Tessitore, Wade Barrett, and Big E.
Fantastic.
And the following week's Raw
anyway,
will include Dakota Kai versus Lyra Valkyria in the women's final of the Intercontinental title tournament.
Okay.
So they just went ahead and let us know that they did move it to next week to make that the main event, it seems like.
And which see, here's the thing.
I'm all for because that's going to be...
I understand both
Come on, Dakota.
I understand both points of view. The debut is being treated like a pay-per-view. So being bumped from that show does have a negative spin to it. If the reason is to give them the main event spot that they deserve on the following week's episode, that's a better spot for it. But I still understand the frustration of them being bumped from the debut.
Yeah,
because that was the rumor for a long time.
Yeah, you don't want to be taken off the Netflix show. I get it, but you also really want to go ahead and have something to be fitting. And I mean, it wasn't a main event on the other side. It was just on the Saturday night's main event.
And you know what? Honestly, I wouldn't have minded if it was. I know they did a lot of story with Cody and KO and all that sort of thing, and that's the sort of the headline, the highlight, whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, brand new championship, especially
I would have
for the ladies. Yeah.
Sadly, I think it was more about the character than the match, and it was more about Chelsea getting over. So it wasn't a great match. Sadly, it wasn't bad.
They could have been better. Like they could have been better off. Like main eventing a SmackDown than being in the middle of Saturday night's main event.
Yeah.
But considering, like,
I agree.
Yes, we're treating this like a pay-per-view, but it is this week's episode of Raw.
Yes.
So bumping it a week so that it can be the main event.
I think that's a great point to make because no matter what, whether this is the debut on Netflix or not, whether they're treating this like a mini WrestleMania or not, it's still Raw.
It is just that episode, that week's episode. It's going to be huge. It's going to be massive. It's going to do all kinds of things. But at the same time, it is just that episode of Raw. It's kind of like WrestleMania is the biggest night of the year until tomorrow night on Raw.
WrestleMania night 1 is the biggest night until night 2, and until Raw after Mania, until
I think it was
SmackDown after Raw after Mania.
I think it was probably Michael Hamflett from What Culture that coined it as it's wrestling's job to make you feel every night like what you're watching is the end of the world, and then at the end of the show say, come on back tomorrow when the world ends again.
Yes.
And I think that's such a cool way to look at it.
That's a great point. I've heard that for, comic book movies and such, and it makes a great deal of sense.
On a side tangent, anybody out there who is a fan of What Culture, Michael Hamflett from that company is doing a separate podcast with his buddy Benno on the what's it called? The In Your House era of
yes,
WWE.
As you were mentioning earlier.
And as somebody who doesn't remember a lot from that time, it's a lot of fun. He's a good host. The other guy he's got with him is a pretty cool guy as well. Takes a lot of shots at Tony Khan, which is a lot of fun. So good old recommendation to start off your year from your.
And there's so many things that I've forgotten over the years that have been. Oh my God, this happened. I forgot about this. Oh my God, and because you hear about the major things all the time, the Hogan moments, the things of that regard, but we don't get. But you
remember being told that the In Your House shows were the small shows.
Yes.
So you remember they existed, but you also remember being told they didn't matter at the same time.
Yeah, they weren't on the scale that other pay-per-views and shows were, and it really led to a kind of a diminished feeling at times for the show. It's
kind of what I've spoken about in the past year or so, getting back into Impact. Like, they have their Friday night pay-per-views and their Saturday night pay-per-views, and it's kind of like the Friday night pay-per-views are the B shows, and they kind of feel like B shows. They have some great stuff on there, but they kind of feel like B shows just because it kind of gets shunted in there on a Friday, and now they're going to have more competition than ever with 3 hour SmackDown. But obviously you and I are not going to preview Raw every week.
No.
So do you want to have a quick couple of minutes on this? My take on it is pretty simple. No disrespect to Lyra Valkyria. I really hope Dakota Kai gets this.
Me as well. I want her in the worst way. That chick kick has never really gotten her moment. And she's had a few moments of greatness and then has been marred by injury or bad booking decisions. And she can go, she can deliver. I loved her in NXT. Unfortunately, her body really gave her a hard time and made it difficult to compete. But yep. I really enjoy her and what she offers and the character that she is. I hope we get to see more. I mean, her heel turn in NXT is one of the highlights. She still had one of the best women's matches in that street fight, and it was just there's so many times where Dakota could have
her heel turn in the middle of the War Games match on NXT was probably one of the cooler moments. I would put that on par.
That's like one of my favorite NXT memories.
Put that on par with when DIY broke up for the first time and what's his name, Tommaso Ciampa became the post-credit killer.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I wish Tegan Nox was still in the company. That's a whole other story to have. Because they had so much.
She was another one that just
almost mirror luck with bad injuries and whatnot.
Yeah.
But just because it feels like Dakota Kai and Damage Control are going to be parting shortly. They teased it by telling us almost that it was going to be her and Io Sky in the final.
Yeah.
And if that happens, and she doesn't have a mid-card title, I would have loved for her and Tegan Nox to get back together as a tag team, because that would have been a, 5-6 year story arc?
Exactly, and them two could have really told something together, but unfortunately that's not what we got.
Anyways, you're taking Dakota Kai, and so am I.
Yeah, I think we knew with Chelsea Green what their plan was then, and from there on out, I just really hope that we go ahead and see more from Dakota Kai. And because, I mean, Chelsea Green having her, United States of Chelsea segment on SmackDown was great.
Red, white, and green?
Yes.
Red, white, and green is the greatest Canadian shout-out ever. Because
it's so good.
You take out the blue, and you're just red and white. And she's just Chelsea Green, and it's just like I'm gonna do the most Canadian shit ever with an American flag basically wrapped around my waist.
Exactly, and it works so
well. We don't deserve Chelsea Green.
She's being cheered, yet she could be booed at any point. Like it's such a great dynamic for her.
I'm gonna need Matt Cardona to come in and beat Shinsuke Nakamura for the men's U.S. title.
And then
what's his name? Cardona on indie shows right now saying, I'm one half of the WWE Women's United States champion.
Yeah.
It's so when he comes back, man, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, because anytime she's had a belt, he's worn it like it's his.
Of course,
you know. So it's been such a great, funny thing. He came out with one of the other ones too at one point
with the women's tag.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're both taking Dakota. I hope Lyra gets something along the way as well, but they kind of forgot about her for a little bit, which is kind of sad.
She's building up. She's getting name recognition.
Oh, yeah.
She's getting more time. Chelsea's one that maximized her minutes, and so many people have said it, but it's so true. And to see how, like, Nick Aldis talking about her and be like, she maximizes her minutes. Whatever we give to her, she knocks out of the park. If she's going to be thrown in a dumpster and covered in garbage, you're going to laugh. If she's going to be in the back, you're going to cry. If she's going to be out here, you're going to be entertained. Like, she's going to give it to you. Mm-hmm. And it's like, yeah, you're right. It really has.
I said it a couple of pods ago, but she is the Miz for the women's division.
But Dakota Kai could be that great heel, but she can also be someone you can get behind. And, John Cena had it rough for many years. People gave him a lot of deserved yet undeserved shit. He was booked in such a way to be Super Cena, and it was revolting, and it was difficult to enjoy. It was a very one-dimension, one-viewer product. It was all to make Vince happy. It was. I was going to say
the criticism was deserved. I think it just got aimed at the wrong person.
Yes, and a lot of it. But John always fell in line. He did what he had to do. And he even wanted to turn heel. He had a whole heel turn set. He had merch changes, everything.
Oh my God! Have you seen that on the Chris Van Vliet?
Yeah,
thing? He had it already. Thing. He had a new intro all done up. He said like he was going to come out as like not the common man at all. Like get rid of the shorts, get rid of the t-shirt. He had a bunch of singlets made. He had a whole different track made up in I think he said 48 hours.
Yep. And then they scrapped it because
he wanted to come out like a boxer, like a superstar boxer, like almost like an Apollo Creed type thing.
Could have worked great. I dream of a scenario whatever alternate universe we could have seen that. Yeah. Because
the other thing is because he's so animated though, like he could come out and put his heart and soul into that heel turn, and if it came off goofy, it would have fallen in the toilet. I feel like John Cena is one of those guys, because we've seen him every now and then when he tries to be serious or when he tries to be like pissed off, and it just looks kind of funny.
It doesn't always come across well, but
I wish he had the chance to try it, for sure.
Well, that's the thing. There's certain moments where it did work, but it was few and far between because it went against the grain of his character. So now that we're seeing a different dynamic for baby faces that aren't that super white meat everything, it's now would have been a very interesting time to have him do things, but I
want to see him like overdo it and be like super smiley, super overcome all the odds, never give up John Cena against Cody Rhodes. Who's like the actual
have to have a match.
They do, yeah.
There's no way around it. SummerSlam, there can't be John Cena's retirement without doing something with Cody. And as sure as my bong is twice a day, I'm telling you, buddy, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. As far as this next match goes, this better be it. I'm tired of Liv and Rhea. And I don't think we're anywhere near the end game here, honestly. Because she's still got to get retaliation with Dom. Yeah, she's got to fight Dom still, I feel like. I mean, she's whooped his ass a little bit, but then she lost, and then she got injured. I don't know. I'm just...
See, my thing is, and again, you and I talked about it on the like Future Wishes whatever pod we did. I want WWE to do intergender wrestling if they're going to do it properly.
Yes.
Because there's so much legitimate story with her and Dom, I want them to do it if it can be a match. I don't want them to take this awesome story and turn it into another example of we've booked a male versus a female and the guy can't do anything because it's way more funny to watch a girl beat up a guy. Now, send them in there.
Well, you have Liv taking on Cody Rhodes. You're like, come on, what the fuck? But you have Rhea taking on Dom. It works.
It makes sense.
And that's why intergender wrestling can work in those regards.
But here's the thing, though, right? And what I just said, I don't want them to go in there and have it be really, really funny that a chick is beating up a dude. I want them to go in there and have it be really, really funny that Rhea Ripley is taking her pound of flesh out of Dominic Mysterio.
Exactly. I don't want it to be like that, it's just a female, she's just better than the guys. That's not what we're going for here.
And that's not what a Rhea Ripley character does either.
No, she doesn't feel like she's around every corner waiting for, it's not...
Like, Rhea Ripley doesn't sound like the one that's going to grab the microphone and go, hoorah, vagina.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. It's just not... She's not doing it for female power. She wants to kill Dom.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I feel
it makes me laugh my ass off because like Dom's married, and you see now like him and Liv, like they never kiss each other. They don't. They just have the little nosy rubs.
And you know what? That's fine. I did love the people that like to shit on WWE, and it's like, oh my god, they keep booking him they keep booking him with all these hot women on the roster. They're just doing this to bully his wife. Like, fuck off, man. Like, you're taking
his
time
wife
now.
and him have been together since they were 13 years old. You know that?
I'm pretty sure she's along for the ride.
Yeah, he said true ride or die. They've been together, high school sweethearts. She's not going anywhere. She's not insecure about a wrestler, sitting on her man or straddling him in a storyline.
And I'm pretty sure she gets kayfabe. He got booed at his own wedding reception.
Yes, and then I mean, look at how Lana and Rusev were towards the end. I mean, she was making out with Bobby Lashley everywhere.
Yeah, but it was a story. Thing. It's not a thing. The things that people try to make a thing these days are ridiculous. Yeah. I have a bold prediction for you.
Ooh.
Because of the Netflix launch, and we want all the big names on Netflix. That's why Roman Reigns is coming over for a night. That's why I'm pretty sure we're going to see Cody Rhodes at some point. We got Cena, we got Rock, we got whatever. You got to leave something for SmackDown. I have a strange feeling that after this, Rhea Ripley's going to SmackDown, and she's.
I don't think you're wrong.
I think she's going to be one of the stars on SmackDown. My only problem, or not necessarily problem, my only hesitation with that is, you put her on SmackDown, they're going to bury her under Bianca Belair, and I'm going to be pissed.
I hope to God they don't. Oh, you're making me nauseous there, buddy.
Unless they move Bianca to Raw.
Slow your roll. Okay.
Move Bianca to Raw and have Bianca lose to Liv Morgan so that everybody on Twitter can eat themselves. Here's the thing, though. I genuinely think Liv is winning this.
You do think Liv is winning this? Okay.
I can't put my finger on why, other than I think Rhea Ripley's going to SmackDown, and they're not going to do another title belt handoff thing. I think it's going to be awesome. I think she's going to destroy Liv.
Mm-hmm. Because we are getting a shakeup. I forget about that. You are right. We are getting a shakeup.
Well, we've got the transfer windows open right now, which is why Katana Chance and Caden Carter are down in NXT right now, wrestling for a tag title that doesn't exist down there anymore. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Don't question it.
Don't question it too much. But it's okay because Tatum and Shotzi and Paxley are together as a trio now, and yeah,
that's enough.
Spaz is living good.
Yeah, Spaz is happy.
Spaz is living good.
So you think Liv wins? I'm gonna go with Rhea. I'm curious. When we get done with this,
I don't want her to win. I want that belt back on Rhea's shoulder, and I want her on the A show, and I want her to get the spotlight as the superstar of that division on the main show, on the new flagship Netflix show, and all that sort of thing. But again, here's the spoiler alert: everything's on Netflix where I am.
Yeah.
So it's one of those the rest of the world is having a preview on Tuesday. And another preview on Friday. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I do think with everybody moving over...
But you made a great point. Monday and Friday on Netflix around the world is going to be, especially Monday, but Friday as well outside of the United States, is going to be a preview for people. They want to hook people. They want to get people to tune in that either haven't watched wrestling or don't watch wrestling any currently. They want to get old viewers, new viewers, all of it.
Well, we're gonna get it's going to be a two-step process for us for SmackDown, because this week we get a look at what the 3-hour SmackDown looks like, and then the following week they move it over to Netflix. I mean, throwing it up on YouTube for 1 week is fine, I guess. It's neither it's not good or bad. It's just there. It's just a gap show.
No doubt about it.
With all the advertising that went into Raw debuting on Netflix, I don't think they wanted to say, "Hey, everywhere but the U.S., the debut is actually happening on the 3rd."
Rhea Ripley's been fucked so many times. I got to go back to it really quick in my head. I can't. I can see why you'd pick Liv, but it's that unknown. Especially because it's a last woman standing match, and they can really pull off some we set her off in the pyro kind of moment. Liv could kill Rhea through some.
Well, this is the thing. They could knock themselves
big show through the spotlight with Cena moment.
They could knock themselves both silly, and Liv Morgan wins because Raquel Rodriguez comes and picks her up or something.
Yeah, it's a 9 count. I mean, anything. Yeah. I think Rhea's going to take out Raquel early on.
Yeah.
But you might be right with Liv retaining through some bullshit. They might want to keep this going to the Rumble. and then do whatever the final there. I mean, but at some point you really got to split them apart, no? And I feel like if Rhea doesn't win here, it's not over. So
yeah,
I hope Rhea wins just to get done with this feud.
Let me propose a trade to you, because there's a story that really needs to end on SmackDown and a story that really needs to end on Raw. What if Rhea Ripley and Jade Cargill swap brands?
Yeah, but that because I mean it kind of undermines the thing that they're trying to do with Jade, unfortunately. But because she's injured, I guess you could still finish out the story, have her have the match there, and then come to Raw. Wouldn't be the worst thing either. But you had her be attacked and taken out. Who did it? You know, the whodunit of it is
the thing about that, though, is because they insist on keeping a belt on Bianca Belair at all times. Bianca Belair and Naomi are the tag champions, and the tag champions float. So you can still have that feud and finish off that feud, and then Jade Cargill costs them the tag titles, which traps them back on SmackDown, and then she can proceed on with her.
It's just funny how sometimes you feel like you play the same map forever, you know?
Yeah. Well,
you know, you're just constantly repeating on Call of Duty. I'm stuck on Nuketown, bud. Yeah, get me the fuck out of here. I want shipment.
You know, lots of other. I don't necessarily agree, and that's fine. A lot of people are sick of Rhea and Liv fighting. I'm sick of Bianca and Jade tagging.
I agree there too. I want to see Jade fly. Yeah, I want to see Jade as a solo and not be propped up with, you know.
Although I want to see them fight each other once before the trade becomes official.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I kind of want to finish the story there, and we don't know if she's legitimately injured or not.
No, Jade and Rhea.
No, I got what you're saying. Yeah, but I'm saying, you know, with the Jade story, we would need the match between her and Bianca or something. You know, whoever took her out, we need some type of payback here, some type of. It seemed like Naomi is a real red herring. But...
She's posting a lot of pictures of the chick from Carrie on her profile. So is she coming back as like a hardcore character, as a more goth character, or is she just coming back being pissed off? She's gonna join the unholy union. It's gonna be fantastic.
It's possible. It could. Hey, have a new version of the Terror Twins.
They're gonna be the best trio. They'll be fantastic. Anyways, that's enough of that. I don't have very much to say about Jay and Drew. I think Jay wins. I think this is somebody else that has a problem with Drew. Probably Sammy is going to come out and fuck with Drew. Actually, that makes the most sense because Sammy and Jay are friends as well. Sammy will do some kind of distraction. I'm pretty sure we're getting Drew versus Sammy at the Rumble. That's my gut feeling at the moment. So, distraction for Drew. He doesn't look too bad. Sammy gets a pop. Jay gets a win. Everybody yeets. The end.
I don't think Jay is winning here. I think Drew is winning.
Okay.
So, Jay is someone that can survive losses, as we've seen in the past. You know, he can always come back because the yeet's over. But it's not just the yeets that's over. It's him as well. So... I truly feel like, his merch, his character, just all of it at this point in time is working with him. So
but eventually you have to give that something like Drew has lost a lot. Drew has lost a lot, and he's been dicked around a lot, and that was the whole story between him and Punk. But he was also getting those prominent pay-per-view versus Punk spots. He was in the match that brought back the legitimacy of Hell in the Cell. I'm sorry, Hell in the Cell was in the shitter.
Oh, it's been in the shitter for ages, and he made it prominent again. Now it's a true feud ender. It's no longer this bullshit nonsense thing.
Jay has the opposite thing, like where he's Teflon. Yeah, he loses, but he's still popular, so it's fine. But what has he, outside of Bloodline stuff, what has he done that was memorable on a pay-per-view in 2024?
Because he didn't even do anything with the IC title, really.
No, well, because that was a week-to-week program, and you need
those.
That's
what I'm saying. So yeah, he didn't really have.
He wanted and lost it to contribute to the Bloodline story. See, this is what I'm saying. Like both.
Yeah, there wasn't anything.
Both Drew and Jay lose a lot, and both Drew and Jay don't lose anything by losing. But Drew lost and was in really, really prominent main event-ish spots. Jay, they need to do something with how over he is.
Yeah, I just don't see him winning here. I really think they're going to give it to Drew.
Okay.
I have a feeling they're going to make him more of like this. They're going to rebuild Drew as a badass because He did lose something by losing to Punk, so
they gotta answer something
a little bit
with Drew though, because
he didn't lose any of like his edge, but he lost a little bit of his.
Well, he couldn't lose his edge. Edge was already over in AEW. Oh, that's
Rated
an old
FTR.
That's a Simon Miller joke right there.
Yeah, that's a good one though.
But here's the thing though, right? Jay, I could see fitting into WrestleMania.
I'll give that a golden up.
Jay, I could see going for a mid-card title, maybe teaming with Sammy if Sammy's not in the main event scene, whatever. Drew is the one. I have no idea what he's doing at WrestleMania.
I have no clue. I don't have
weird,
the
right?
slightest.
So
it is weird, but it's
I don't.
not,
But I
right?
don't think you take something like Jay and Drew to WrestleMania. So whatever he's doing at WrestleMania fucks him out of this win. You get a really good feel-good moment for Jay, who's over as hell, and you build a story with Drew because he can lose and still drive a main event level story. He's proven.
Yeah.
And
he can do it without it being.
And I do think there is going to be something on here that will be like simply just a feel-good thing. Like, as far as match results go, we're going to talk about the main event in a second, but we need to answer some speculation, and it's sort of a two-layer speculation.
Yeah.
There's somebody coming to Raw, Jake.
Is there?
There's somebody coming to Raw. It's a big zero with a slash in. It's fucking Penta.
It's Penta!
It's fucking Penta. It should be Penta and Ray, but Tony Khan's a cunt.
But you know what? I'm glad that they're doing something with Penta in the meantime, and they're not just waiting for Ray, because one, it's going to be a little while, and unfortunately, and two, besides it also being a little while, like, why not establish the audience to his brother, and then when his brother comes in, it's like, oh, that's his brother, so now he's already an established name just by having the familial traits
and
like packed together.
It's pretty well hinted at.
He's not well known by everybody either, so it's needed. He's not a star that's got name recognition globally. He's not a Punk. He's not, but he could be.
Yeah. Now here's the thing. It's pretty heavily hinted that his debut is going to be teaming with Rey Mysterio versus the heel New Day.
Yeah,
that was pretty heavily hinted on last week's Raw. Now, let's admit what's wrong with that first. Rey Mysterio has an entire faction. Why would he need to bring in yet another person? Now, counter to that, I don't care. There's a plot hole. I don't care.
Yeah, I think Andrade maybe would be good as a person for him to face.
Yeah, maybe. I think he comes in, and we think he's coming in as a face, and then he turns on Ray, and then him and Ray have a mini program, and then he gets into something else, because almost immediately when it's like, oh, they signed Penta, oh, well, they're going to put him in the LWO. First of all, LWO is awesome, fuck off. Second of all, no, because the LWO is like a bad group. Wouldn't it be funny?
But they're also just like, oh, because he's Spanish, like he has to go with the LWO. Like, I hate it when, like, oh, we got somebody black, they got to go with the New Day. Like, why? No, it's not. Like...
No. You're thinking of the Hurt Business. Or the Hurt Syndicate, which is only racist if it happens in WWE, but not AEW, because Mud Show fans are goldfish.
And it only involves business cards.
Oh my god! And who gets those business cards? Who gets those business? Anyway,
cheese curlers.
We're not doing it. I mean, it's as cool a way as any to bring in Penta. WWE is full of gimmicks, full of catchphrases, full of, like, let's merchandise the fuck out of everything.
Yeah.
Penta's awesome for that.
Penta's gonna be
the
Zero Miedo.
The Zero Miedo is gonna get over. The mask is gonna get over. The fact that he's a luchador that's not exactly the size of a luchador is gonna get over. We couldn't get one Ray, so we stuck him with another one. Is going to be a criticism that it gets. I don't care. You're reaching, bro.
I think that this is a great decision on their part to use him. I almost, like, he doesn't need to go to NXT, but I would have loved that.
Yeah.
Selfishly, because you know what he would have added.
Well, they said specifically they didn't want to start in NXT, which is fine. Like, they're not
Which I get.
Guys.
No, I get, but to have Penta there for a month, just a month.
Yeah.
Just have him go and have some sick matches and leave, just to be like, hey.
I think if they got them as the tag team, I think we would have been more likely to have them start on the main roster, and maybe the Machine Guns get a run in NXT. I think that
was my thought too.
Machine Guns versus Fraxium would have been something I would have wanted to see. Once we get Rey Fenix in WWE, I want to see Rey Fenix and Penta versus Finn and JD.
There's a lot I want to see, and that's the thing. Like, there's so many matches.
If Penta debuts as Rey's partner, turns on him in the same match, and then you get like some combination of the LWO versus Penta and the heel New Day.
Yeah.
I mean,
Think about all the
ways
options we have here.
he's
Think
gonna
about
do
all the possibilities.
Okay, actually, you know what? Here's something that probably won't matter in the next 5 minutes or so. But what's he gonna be called? Is he going to be called Pentagon Jr.? Is he going to be called Penta El Zero Miedo? Is he going to be called Penta Oscuro? Is he just going to be Pentagon? Are they going to give him a brand new name?
Jose Hector Rodriguez III?
Oh, my God.
Could you imagine?
Oh, my God.
If Vince was there, he would have been Pedro Gonzalez the Ninth.
Him and Ray would have been Jose and Jose B.
Yes. Oh, God, you beat me to it, you son of a bitch.
No, but
we got Jose and Jose B.
Oh, good God. But yeah, like, it's gonna be fine if he goes heel and does like dark, like Lucha Undertaker stuff like he was doing in AEW. I'll be fine with that.
Or down in what the hell was the name of it? The Mexican League there.
Lucha Underground.
Lucha Underground. Jesus, what an idiot I am. Can't remember that. But, yeah, he down there was a sick bastard, and he would have these intergender matches where he would kill these fucking women. I think it was Chelsea Green that he murdered at one point. Like, he fucking damn near looked like he package pile drove her.
I'm going to need Penta versus Kevin Owens in a package pile driver match.
Would be good.
Would be absolutely good.
I just kind of froze there because my brain broke, and it would be like, oh, package pile driver. Package pile driver.
Well, I was going to say, like, is it kind of funny that KO brings back the package pile driver as they're about to debut Penta in WWE?
Right?
Like,
I mean, can't beat that,
although
that's for sure.
All the images of him doing the package pile driver on Cody Rhodes have been photoshopped to death to just look like Cody Rhodes is taking a shit.
Yeah, which is
it's
hilarious.
Really bad.
I can't help but die laughing at those because, hey, it is funny, but
you know what it is though as well is like we're putting two and two together. Like, oh, Ray needs to pick a partner. He's got a whole faction of guys, and what's his name? Dragon Lee got called the Rey Mysterio cosplayer and all the predictable stuff like that. But at the same time, they did that, and then they did the teaser with the mask right after that. So maybe we're being led to believe that this is how he makes his debut. Maybe he debuts in an entirely other way, and it's just Ray and Dragon Lee versus the New Day, which would also be awesome, by the way.
Which is very possible too.
Yeah. And which would make more sense, and it would get rid of the loophole. But if he doesn't debut in that tag match, but he does debut on Raw, do you see him interrupting somebody? Do you see him, like, randomly his music just plays and there's a quick wave and a hey, I'm here?
I think he's going to come out and probably initially look like he's there to help and then attack somebody. I think they're going to do the turn where it's like, oh, he's here as a face. Oh, no, he's a heel. That kind of thing. I think he is going to be a heel when he comes in. And then when he does stuff with his brother, he might go to be face.
Oh, my God. Penta.
Dare I ask.
Penta interrupts the opening promo from John Cena. And Penta's
I wouldn't hate it.
Penta's neither would I, but the visual would be hilarious.
John Cena versus Penta as John Cena's first match on Netflix and
Penta's
first match in the company.
Not everything with Bray Wyatt went great, but you remember John Cena when he worked with Bray Wyatt and he kind of had that "what the fuck is this guy" look on his face.
Yeah.
Can you imagine his face when Penta comes out?
Oh my God!
You know what?
It'd be the Roman AJ Rumble debut all over again.
Except the camera will actually be on the ramp this time.
Sir, before we run out of time, CM Punk, Seth Rollins.
It's going to be awesome. That's all I have to say.
So, I would imagine Punk would win, but I don't think he's going to. I think Seth is going to do something, and that's going to lead to another match from them in the future. And to have Punk lose would be huge here. So I just put it this way. I don't know how he's going to lose, but I feel like, my God, Seth has lost so much. He lost it both nights at Mania, got destroyed in the main event again, and then laid out for months with the knee. Then he comes back and he's gotten destroyed by Bronson Reed and kind of not done a lot this year. 2024 has been a more of a, he helps other people year, essentially. He was kind of lending himself to other things. And now I like the way Seth has been coming out more serious. He's not dancing. He's not gesticulating all over the place and acting like a lunatic. He's being real. He came out. No
I find
theme.
he's
dressed a little bit more normal, and he's like, "No, I see you. You're an asshole." And then the promo battle they had last week, like you said, no matter what, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah,
it's gonna be goddamn
I find it kind of
incredible.
funny that whenever like they do these shades of gray, like let the audience cheer for whoever they want to cheer for, which is what you have to do with anything involving CM Punk, realistically. But the harder CM Punk leans into, hey, I'm trying to be the good guy, I'm trying to be the moral guy, I'm trying to be the hardworking guy, the more he tries to lean into that, the more the CM Punk fans are defiantly behind CM Punk. And have you heard the rumor, and it's not necessarily for immediately, it's for later on down the line, this whole idea that him and Drew and KO are going to like sort of meld their stories together because they're the guys all along that were pointing out the bad guys, and now all the fans love the bad guys, and oh my god, are we all taking crazy pills? And the three of them are just
so
like...
Seth, Drew, and Kevin Owens. I mean, that would be...
I've heard the rumor, and they've sort of teased it here and there, because you see what Drew did with Punk and with Jey Uso. You see what Kevin Owens did in reaction to, oh my god, how could you team with the Judgment Day? You see what Rollins does. It was like, oh my god, how can you guys be behind Punk and a couple of other things like that. They've all had this very similar, very justified, hey, don't you remember what X person did? How can you blame me for still being mad at them? Like, they're all very justified in a very similar way. So the three of them coming together at some point versus, say, Jay, CM Punk, and Cody Rhodes would be a story you could tell all year.
Yeah, exactly. And it really could be one that could be told, like you said, throughout the year. They could be together, then go do their own thing, then come back. And that's what I love about the storytelling about WWE right now. They had that Raw recently, and I've said it so many times, but Punk comes out and he starts and he's on his whole diatribe, and then Rollins comes out after Jay and Sammy come out, and everything connects, everything flows. I'm not just talking about the backstage shots and cutting through the crowds and the drones and that's great, but they've made people feel like real people finally. They have motivations, dreams, goals. They all just didn't want to be WWE champion as a child. You know, we're getting people to actually be people.
We're not fighting for the soul of the company like other people are. Here's my thing. My prediction for this is complicated, right? Because I feel like these two are going to be fighting over a title at WrestleMania. I don't know if the Chamber is involved. I don't know if the Rumble is involved. I don't know who's going to be champion going into WrestleMania. But I do think CM Punk versus Seth Rollins for a title is happening at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I think that they're going to fight each other 2 times before that. Like, it'll be here, and it'll be at either the Rumble or the Chamber, or they're going to fuck with each other in the Rumble. They're going to be even Stevens. At some point, one of them is going to pick up a title, and the other one's going to pick up a title shot, and we're going to get to WrestleMania.
Would you hate having a triple threat against Gunther? Between Seth, Punk, and Gunther for Mania?
I would, because...
As a main event?
I would, because a lot recently we've had a bunch of triple threat situations where the rivalry was between the two contenders, and the champion themselves felt like a third party in their own match.
Okay, perfect point.
That's something WWE really struggled with last year, is like the person who's champion going in shouldn't feel like a guest. So I would rather it just be the two of them. I'm looking forward. I'm seeing WrestleMania. I'm seeing those two are going to fight for a belt.
Yeah.
I don't
want Seth to win, but I'm thinking
what I don't know is how they get there, and it's why I think this match on Monday doesn't have a winner. And I know that's a cop-out answer. I know that's a blue balls answer, but it's the best blue balls answer I can give you.
That was my first reaction. That was my initial gut feeling, but then I went against the grain of my own intuition simply because would they not have a win? They might. I mean, we've seen draws on both sides, and we don't see draws happen often on WWE at this point. So, I mean, it really could come down to time limit. They could say anything at this point. DQ.
If their debut on Netflix ends with a time limit draw, people are going to shit their pants, and rightfully so.
Yeah, I would hate that too.
I'm sorry. If there's any time where you can't really justify putting a time limit on anything.
Exactly. So that's why I'm saying I don't know what they would do to have a draw. I mean, anything's possible with the story they're telling, and especially you want to see them fight again. But for me, Punk didn't originally want this match. Seth did. So if Seth wins, he's got that over Punk, and because if Punk wins here, it's basically done. Yeah. It's pretty much over. I mean, Punk said you're nothing to me. I don't think about you. I've been on your mind rent free, but to me you don't matter. So if Seth wins here, Punk can continue this feud because now I have to beat you. But if Punk
wins and it tips Seth Rollins over more into the heel side, and there's a
very
post-match attack,
too.
And you could see. You want to have the first, like, as you've brought up, right? You bring up the first time, hey, I didn't even want this match, right? I won the match. Fuck it, it's over, man. Come on. And he goes and he targets all the injuries that kept Punk out of so much of last year. And Punk can go in, okay, you wanted to take another year away from me? Okay, now, fuck it, let's do it for real. You lay it down either as a match at the Rumble, or they fuck with each other in the Rumble, and they get their last match at Elimination Chamber. Somebody gets a belt in the meantime.
Yeah.
As I say, we got 4 months to kill. But I'm saying WrestleMania, these guys are fighting for a belt. I don't know who brings it in. I don't know who takes it out. I don't know how we get
Seth
there.
Having the belt from Gunther, a heel Seth, and I mean, there's certain. I could see it because Punk wants to win a belt and he wants to win main event at Mania. That's only happening if he's going for a belt. So there's just so many possibilities, so many, and that's what I love about it. We're truly, as I said in the beginning, in the middle of this wrestling renaissance, and I couldn't be happier for what we have to look forward in the future. And speaking about the future, my friend, tomorrow on your channel we'll also have our preview for NXT New Year's Evil. We'll be going over everything that's going on the NXT side of things. That'll be great.
Yep. Right now, as it stands, they've only got 4 matches announced, so we'll have to find some other stuff to talk about, but that's never really a problem for us. Tell them where to find you.
Yes, certainly not. I mean, that triple threat with Trick, Oba, and Eddie, we have so much to discuss. Yeah, absolutely. I cannot wait. Roxanne and Julia, too. Lexis King and Charlie Dempsey, which is going to be great with sudden death rules. We didn't even talk about Lexis King winning the cup, and then Stephanie Vancour against Cora Jade against who? Kalani and Lola Vice, I think it is?
Yeah, Cora, Lola, Kalani, Stephanie, #1 contendership match for the Women's North American Championship.
Yeah, how do you top that?
We'll talk about it for sure.
Absolutely. Going to be a great pod tomorrow. You're not going to want to miss that. And then we'll be live on my channel, youtube.com/countdownended. You can find me on YouTube, also on Twitter at countdownended. We'll let you know what's going on there. But we'll be live right after Raw goes off the air on my channel. Spaz and I will be covering everything that happens on the debut episode on Netflix. Going to be a great time. Can't wait to see you all there.
And before I say you know where to find me, I just have to say, as you guys all know listening right now, this channel has had a hell of a 2024, largely due to the guy on the other end of the microphone over there. Quick chance to say, thank you very much for joining me, man. Thank you for everything you've contributed to this channel. Thank you for having me over on to your channel. We are going to kick the ass of YouTube in 2025.
Hell yeah, my friend, we are. We're going to dominate the podcasting networks. You know it.
We are going to do it. And you guys know where to find me or you wouldn't be here. I've been Spaz. This has been Jake. This has been the first preview of 2025. It's Raw on Netflix. See you later. Bye.
Thank you, my friend. Happy New Year.